yes.
Uh, Good evening, friends. And when you have a resource person like Mr. Amar Agarwal, who is a chartered accountant, author, and a trainer, and that too on a weekend when others are geared up, especially the professionals are like lawyers, to move around, but to help people to connect and understand the conventional and non-conventional careers in commerce. As they say in life, one is always on a crossroad, especially if you have a field which has different professions. And they say that as whether you have to tread the path which is already treaded, or you have to make a journey in a path which is slightly different. There's always the ding dong which goes in the mind of any person as to how one has to move around. Because they say that success stories of others help you to understand and make steps further in life. And in the same way, there are stories where you hear and see and perceive that the path which has been not treaded more is always being given a different path. And conventional and non-conventional careers in commerce are also like that. Like you have taken a conventional courses like a chartered accountant, company secretary, and so on and on. Or if you take a commerce field, or be that as it may, sometimes people take a path of the normal and there of the like a chartered accountant or a company secretary, and thereafter they go to a path which is totally diverse. And then it is also said that you have taken the hobby, because while choosing a career, they say that you may choose a career which people have already thought of, but at the same time, you take a career which is slightly different and offbeat. This, I can say, in the career also is just like what we say, whether the hen came first or the egg came first. You have always in a dilly-dally mind of as to what career you could choose forward. But I think after we have a trainer and an author like Mr. Amar Agarwal, could actually give a flip to the mind, a path which could help them, and synonym to his name or akin to his name could make you Amar in your profession. People would always remember you in the right way, in the right manner. And what are the ways forward to make a name also, we will ask him. What you feel is a diverse way, whether professionally only you can gain or paying back to the society, as they say normally in the corporate social responsibility. Sometimes we feel that it's like a professional social responsibility also, which can help you to create your niche, because normal persons will always do the normal life. But I was talking to Mr. Amar before coming on this platform. He said that the famous saying of Mr. Shiv Khera, that successful people don't do different things, but they do differently. So differently in the career, differently in the life, or the path, what I earlier said, treaded by many, and it's the safest way because you don't have to think a lot on all those careers. And I will ask Mr. Amar to share his insights on this offbeat topic of conventional and non-conventional. And Mr. Amar has been kind enough to accede to our request to share his insights. If somebody has a question, we will take that question happily, and Mr. Agarwal will also share his knowledge. Over to you, Amarji. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikas, for your kind words and for your very warm introduction. Uh, Good evening, friends who are there here with us today. Warm greetings from the city of Kolkata. I'm from Calcutta, city of joy. So, December is setting in, and the month of December, which closes the year, is for many a time for introspection and uh, retrospection about how the year went, what was right, what was wrong, what could have been better. A lot of people do it. I do it because being a chartered accountant, again, when a certain period closes, we always try to make a profit and loss account in a balance sheet. It's a very old habit. So sometimes you can't do a figure work on a lot of things, but you take stock of what could have been done better, because no matter what, no matter how well we've done, we can always do much better. So it's a time to to sum up the whole year, make a summary of all the things which were done. today in particular, I'm going to be, emphasizing on chartered accountants, company secretaries, and cost accountants. Being a CA and a CS myself, I feel that, something which I've been doing for the past 3 decades, probably am well equipped to talk on this. Uh, when we take stock, especially youngsters who are newly qualified, when you take stock of the situation about the year and your careers ahead, it's very important for us to understand that, from the very beginning, commerce is one field which I personally feel that choice over here is limited in one sense that, when you're very young, let me talk about myself. When I was just about, taking up my 11 and 12, uh, commerce was not a choice. Those days, guardians and parents had a say. Our say was a little limited, not like the children today who have far more independence in talking about the careers. So, our guardian said that, look, your maths and science is not strong, so you can't take up science. Arts doesn't seem to have a great future. So, we are pushed into commerce. So commerce seemed like a choice, but if you look at it, it's more like a compulsion. So a lot of children even today take up commerce because science is beyond them and arts feels a little, a little slow, or it seems, not really up to the mark. So see, every field has a positivities, but for the commerce students, commerce is more like some kind of a compulsion. So for me, it seemed like a choice. It wasn't a choice, but I think it was fine. Uh, you know, Today I want to tell you something that when you take up commerce, the fields of CA, CS, and ICWA, over the last few decades has ruled the roost in the sense that most CAs, most commerce students take up CA, or they take up CS, or they do a combination of CA, CS. I have many friends who've done CA, CS, ICWA, myself and a CA and a CS. They take it up as a combination. Now, that is fine. I mean, uh, once upon a time, it was felt that the more qualifications you add, it would make you look smarter. It would give you better future prospects. So if you've got 4 qualifications as compared to somebody who's got 1 qualification, uh, uh, it gives you a greater edge on your career. But I personally feel that the kind of world we live in today, maybe 30 years ago, that probably had some truth in it. But today, I don't think that's the truth at all. Adding more qualifications does not necessarily make you smart. If you can do 1 qualification well and you've learned the work well and you have been grounded well in it, I think that's a lot. But nevertheless, there are many who add another qualification. Sometimes it's a compulsion. Sometimes it's important for the kind of work you do. For instance, if somebody is into treasury, investment, and banking, and he wants to add a CFA to a CA, well, that makes sense. So, I mean, if the qualification justifies your work and is in sync with what your future ambitions are, then it's fine. But otherwise, adding qualifications for the sake of adding it doesn't make much sense. Now, more than the qualifications, what I am going to be talking about today is about our career choices. I mean, the career choices which are open for CS, CS, and ICW. See, we all know that uh, when it comes to career choices, there are always 2 choices. And within the 2 choices, within these 2 macros, there are many micros. What are the 2 main macros? The 2 main macros are the conventional careers, and the other one is the unconventional or the non-conventional careers. Now, when it comes to the conventional careers, I mean, we all know that for CA, CS, and ICWA, service is the first preference. I think a majority, more than 70%, they lean towards service, and a good 20% plus, maybe even 25% plus, as per the national statistics, are into practice. And a very small percentile are neither into service nor into practice. So a huge majority, 95%, is into the conventionals, and mere 5% is, or less than 5%, is into non-conventionals. Today's discussion is not about the conventionals, because for the conventionals, we talk about it, we hear about it in various classrooms. They're either preparing you for an interview, or they're preparing you for a job, or they're telling you the different phases which are in practice, which is fine. I mean, conventionals will always be there. But I think, a time has come when we start viewing it in a little different way. I'm going to start with the quote of a very famous poet. His name was Robert Frost. I don't know how many of you heard. But, Robert Frost, he wrote a poetry which was called The Road Not Taken. And I'll just mention 1 or 2 lines from there. He said that two roads diverged into the yellow wood. Of course, I could not take both. So I took the one which was less traveled, and that made all the difference. The issue with a lot of commerce students is a certain kind of a mentality, which is like a herd mentality, where we all go towards one direction because of various reasons. There is family pressure, peer pressure, and the entire societal backdrop is kind of pushing you towards one direction. I personally feel that that's perfectly all right, but what happens is somewhere we need to exercise our own judgment, because when it comes to a career choice, is a very important choice. It's not about doing a job or doing a service or practice. It's about leading a life. It's a lifestyle. And I think we all need to sit and think that when it comes to conventional and non-conventional careers, we have to understand that if we take a look at the picture of all the three institutes from ICW onwards, ICWA, ICAI. I think the oldest is ICAI, which was established in 1949. The others came later. Uh, uh, it's been more than almost 75 years that these institutes have been in the being. Now, over these last 75 years, conventional work has ruled the roost, which is fine. I mean, that is how it has been. But times have changed. I mean, in 75 years, the world has gone through a paradigm shift, and particularly with post COVID, the world is literally it's turning on its head. Things have changed so dramatically, and particularly with IT digitization, where machine is inching into our world more and more, to the professional world, not only assisting us but doing a lot of things which once upon a time professionals did. uh, Here we need to actually sit back and think as to what would be the best way forward. Conventional careers are always there, but I personally feel that time has come that we consider other career alternatives too, because see, if you look at every facet of the society, old conventions have broken. I mean, you take a look at the social pattern. You look at fashion. You look at families. We had joint families once upon a time. Now they're nuclear families. You take a look at food habits. You take a look at education. You take a look at science, technology. Of course, there's no need to say what kind of a shift has happened over the last 75 years. Every facet, every field of the society has undergone a sea change. Old conventions have been broken, left, right, and center. What is a little surprising is that when it comes to us chartered accountants, company secretaries, and cost accountants, we are still largely centering around the conventional careers. I mean, we need to take a relook, because conventional careers are today under a certain amount of threat. We can't deny that, because a lot of the work which we do is structured work. And we all understand that structured work is being done by machines extremely well. I mean, you have information technology with artificial intelligence. You've got blockchain technology. You've got all kinds of new software which are coming up, which are probably they are softwares which probably do 100 crore company audit in just a matter of few hours. A lot of things are server computer generated in banks and financial institutions. So somewhere the role is getting restricted, whether and that's the truth. A lot of professions have completely gone out of reckoning because of the invasion of machines into work. We all need to understand that when conventions are being broken in every field, why is it that we are still stuck to the old conventions, and we are still hanging on to that by the skin of our teeth, even though the things which we want from our careers, I think it's very normal. When you are looking at your career, you're looking at certain things. Nobody's studying CA, CS or ICWS, such kind of things. You're not doing it for social welfare. Neither are you doing it for the spiritual upliftment of this country. You are doing it for the financial stability of your family. You're doing it for respect and honor. You're doing it for a certain amount of fame and recognition that is wanted by everybody, which is fair enough. Now, if you are choosing a conventional field, a certain amount of financial stability is there, but the respect and honor and the fame and recognition is barely there. What fame and recognition? There's hundreds and thousands of chartered accountants, company secretaries are working. I mean, who knows them? unless and until they are they're doing something spectacular or different. The rest are doing the same things. I'm going to give you an example. Many years ago, many years ago, I had gone for
there is a sound coming from your backside of some utensils, etc. You can close the video.
Now, yes. So I was talking about the fact that the story goes like this, that many years ago, when I recently qualified CA, I happened to meet a monk somewhere in Kathmandu, and on a personal meeting with him, what surprised me was his background. He told me that he was an IIM and he was an IIT. He must have been barely 4 or 5 years older than me. I was hardly 23, 24. He must have been 27, 28 years old. So when I was very taken aback by this monk, he told me that, why are you so surprised? So I said, I mean, IIT, I mean, he can go anywhere in the world and he can probably follow any kind of career he wants, but to be a monk, a spiritual man. So he said, why? Some people are mad about money. Some people are mad about fame. Some are after fame. I'm after God, which is a better madness. So naturally, I had to say yes. I mean, yours is a better madness, but nevertheless, you're saying, you know what? What are the things we hanker for in life? So these are the 3 points which I told you: the financial stability, the respect, and the name and fame. So he's saying number 1 is, a financially sound man would never carry money. In fact, since the time I've qualified and I've joined monkhood, I have not carried money. I don't need to carry money, because if I look at something and it needs to be bought for me, it's bought. I don't need money. I haven't carried money. So, I don't have any issues in financial security. Number 2, respect. If I open my doors, there'll be 5,000 people who are listening to me, standing outside, waiting to touch my feet. I don't want to pretend I'm God. I'm just a messenger. And number 3, my diary is in front of you. I'm a sannyasi. You can see it. Over the next 3 months, I'm all over the world talking. I don't travel for money. I just travel to spread the name of God, which means that I have a certain amount of fame and recognition. Now, it's our contention that having qualified with certain qualifications, we are supposed to expect to do those certain things. I mean, if I'm a chartered accountant, then I'm supposed to balance a balance sheet. I'm supposed to do GST. I'm supposed to do tax. Why should that be so? And a lot of people ask young students a very strange question. And the question is, if you wanted to do something different, then why did you do CA? Or why did you do CS? I think that's a very strange question to begin with. If my education does not permit me to do what I wish to do, then what good is that education? Education should liberate me, or it should tie me down. No, you're a CA, so you have to do finance. And why? If I can do financial stability, and if I can get some respect, and I can get name and recognition, doing anything else which is feasible, I'm not, smuggling, or I'm not, some kind of an assassin, or I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm doing something fair, and I'm using my talent, and it should not be so. Now, coming to talent, every one of us is a talented individual. The first thing a person does, is a youngster does, is he goes by the group thought. And the first thing he also does is he throttles his own talent. We never try to find out what is the talent. All of us are talented people, but we don't give our talents a chance. With our qualifications, irrespective of what people say, that you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, people will say, I mean, that's fine. But they will also recognize when I do something special. Now, our condition is, we are such special, distinguished individuals, but we are still doing, things which are well within our potential. We can go well beyond it. Just remind me of a story. There's a little boy, and his father is a mahout, the one who runs, who trains an elephant and works with elephants. So one day he asked his father that, Dad, why is it that this huge animal is tied to a small chain with a little keg in the ground. I mean, can't that animal just snap it and break and run away? The father said, of course. And the child was wondering. He said that, but dad, tell me something. If it can, then why is it in captivity? It can easily snap and run. Why doesn't it do it? Father said, son, there is a little bit of a story in this. The story is when that elephant was quite small, it had that chain tied to the leg and stuck with that keg in the ground. And of course, then it was not strong enough to break it free. So it got mentally seasoned. It got mentally convinced that it cannot break the chain. It tried and tried. Initially, they always try. They try so much that the skin gets it starts bleeding with those chains. But then they give up, and then they never try again, even they've grown up or whatever. But mentally, they have been seasoned in a sense that they have been confirmed that no, I can never break it when they can. So despite of being such huge animals, despite of having such potential, such strength, they have been seasoned to lose. So that often happens with a lot of commerce students, where we are pushed into the usual fields, which is fine. But today I personally feel that we need to look beyond. It's very important. It's extremely important that we show our talents in other fields. I have nothing against the conventional fields. To a great measure, I even do some kind of professional work, but hardly any. And I am again preaching what I practice. I'm not preaching what I don't practice. As Vikasji has told you, that I do a lot of non-conventional work, and I've always been in non-conventional work. Now, non-conventional work has one major advantage, and the advantage being that, see, that there are two sets of professionals in this world, or probably people in the world. I'm talking about professionals today. What kind of professionals? One, who have a career or lifestyle doing things which they have to do. And the other one are those who end up doing things which they like to do. There's a huge difference. There is a heaven and earth difference. Majority people, 95% of the qualified professionals are all doing things which they have to do. They don't like it, but they have to do it, and they, for a career or for whatever, for earning a life living, they do doing it. It's okay. But it's a very small percentile who do things which they like to do. And that makes a huge difference. If my education does not allow me that liberty, then something is wrong with it. Something is terribly wrong with it. And we have to understand that. Let us have that much courage. I usually find the most educated people, being the most nervous and being the ones who are the most frightened about their career and the future aspirations. You're so qualified. You should have 3 times, 4 times more mental stamina and strength than any other ordinary person. That with your qualifications, you just can't sink. Your career has to go ahead. But again, that elephant example. We have all the potential, we have all the strength, but somewhere the grooming has been such that we feel that no, we can't do it, or why take a risk? Life is, we even knowingly, unknowingly, from the time that we are, not even a fetus in a mother's womb, we go through a million and a billion odds to reach where we are. And the same person who goes through millions and billions of odds, knowingly and unknowingly, grows up and starts worrying about odds, that what would happen if I choose a different career or a different path. It's really surprising. And we have to also understand that with the old conventions gone, we have to also look at newer avenues of work. It's very, very important. I am not ruling out conventional, but I'm telling you that when probably you go to a restaurant and you're going to be ordering food, the first thing you do is you look at the menu card and you see like what are the things that offer. When you are looking at your career, the first thing you should do, any young professional should do, is he should look at the menu card. He should have information that, okay, let's see what the professionals in my field are doing today. What kind of work are they doing? Okay, they're in service, they're in practice, they're doing X, Y, Z. Okay, if they're doing these things, how is it? Does it suit them? Does it give them enough remuneration? Does it give them enough leeway? Does it give them enough opportunities? Basic things we need to find out, because you're going to be living with it for 30, 40, 50 or the rest of your life. It's not a small time. Your career is a marathon. It's not a 100-meter race that you could do it, you don't like it. So let's for once give it a thought about the kind of non-conventional career opportunities which are there for us. I think one of the first non-conventional opportunities which we have, the chartered accountants, company secretaries, and cost accountants, is business. If you take a look at the percentile of people who are into conventional and non-conventional, with a huge majority into conventional sphere, it's fine. But today, if I'm a chartered accountant and 95% of the CAs are into conventional field, well, those 95% CAs are seekers. The job guys have to be given jobs. The practice guys have to be given work. And of the 5% who are non-conventional, even if 20% of those 5% are business people, which is 1%. So there's 1% giver, 95% takers. Look at the equation. Where are the givers? It's fine. I mean, if you're standing in a queue for a job or you are waiting for practice, it's great. But where are the givers? They're all takers. Now, a smart youngster would say, fine. I mean, if chartered accountants are not capable of giving us employment, fine. There are multinationals, there are privately held companies, there are others who would give us employment. Sure, they are going to give you employment, but they're going to give it at their own terms. I mean, today in service, I mean, I think young chartered accountants are capable of earning much more than what they are being offered by the industry. Much more. I mean, I qualified by 1990, and we began with a CTC of over 1.5 lakhs in Calcutta, which wasn't great, but for us it was a princely sum because it was the first job, and those days that 1.5 lakhs had some value. I'm talking about 32 years ago. In 32 years, expenses have gone up 15, 20 times. Look at the value of rupee. Rupee has been depreciating at between 7 and 10% every year. Now, even if you assume that the value of things have gone up 10%, which is at a very, very minimal level, 10 times from over the last 30 years, and you multiply that 1.5 lakhs into 10 is 15 lakhs per annum today, CTC. That's not the average which CAs are getting in jobs. And practicing CAs, I mean, for small CA firms, even if you're practicing for probably 10, 15 years, very difficult to get work. Particularly in the eastern region of this country, I live in Bengal, so it's not easy to find work. It's high time, that we look at different things. So, business is one. Chartered accountants, company secretaries, especially CAs are tailor-made for business. You are advising business people. You're working for business people. You're auditing their work. You're counseling them. You can very well do your own business. You believe me, I have seen in my 32 years as a CA, I've seen CAs going from practice to service. I've seen them going from service to practice. I've seen them going from service to business. I've seen them going from practice to business, but I've not seen a single CA who's gone from business to service or practice. There must be a reason. There has to be a reason. Nothing happens without a reason. And the few I know, my friends who are in business, they say, well, business gives you independence. It gives you a lot of freedom. The harder you work, the more you get. 3, we give employment to others. So at least, we can make scope for someone else to work. And last of all, we are, chained down by X, Y, Z. We are building our own dreams. I mean, you don't want to have your own dreams and you want to work towards them. But somebody else is going to hire you to work for their dreams. That's what is happening to a lot of us professionals with so much of talent. So I think the first option is certainly business. That's the first non-conventional option for us. To be followed by teaching and training. Teaching and training is got immense potential. I mean, there is an acute scarcity of good teachers in the world today. Acute scarcity. Teachers is becoming like a fringe profession. Everybody's jumping into it. Unemployed man is teaching, a retired man is teaching, a housewife who's got spare time, she's teaching. I mean, because they feel, well, it's good ready money available, and teaching on a fringe profession. Is the oldest profession in the world. And I think when it comes to chartered accountants or company secretaries or ICWS, you can make very good teachers, even if you teach small children. So teaching and training is a great avenue. Even if you teach kids, you can teach small children, you can teach 11, 12, you can teach graduates, those who can teach the CA and CS levels. Well, the sky is the limit. You got to begin small. I began my teaching kindergarten kids. I used to teach nursery rhymes once upon a time. And a lot of people wonder, nursery rhymes, I mean, how does that help professionals? I say nursery rhymes, gentlemen, please remember that nursery rhymes is a lot about voice modulation, and communication is 80% voice modulation. You can't handle kids. What are you going to be handling grown-ups? So, teaching completely remodulates entire personality. It gives you a different outlook to life. So while teaching is a great avenue for us, teaching and training. It improves our own personality. It's a great way to motivate yourself, because you don't need to motivate yourself. When you're motivating others, you automatically motivate yourself. So, teaching and training is one great avenue. There are a lot of CAs who I know who teach part-time. They're probably practicing in the morning and teaching, after their practice hours. It can very well be done. So teaching and training is one great avenue for chartered accountants and company secretaries, and it is very helpful overall for their own selves also. It's a great stress reliever. And besides, the more you teach others, the more you learn yourself. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. What you give out has to come back. That's the rule of the cosmos. So, it's a great way of enlightening your own self. Now, for the ones who feel that, teaching and training is not their forte, they can consider consultancies. Now, when I talk about consultancies, I'm not talking about the typical conventional consultancies like a CA is giving financial consultancies. We're not talking about financial consultancies at all. There are many chartered accountants, company secretaries who are not doing the financial consultancy at all. I mean, I know chartered accountants who are stock brokers, who are security brokers, who are property brokers. I know CAs who are job consultants. I know CAs who are event managers. I know CAs who do just custom clearing work. They are stevedores, logistic guys, you name it. All kinds of consultancies, which they are CAs again who are training as actuaries. They work for the insurance sector. It's a huge field. It's an endless field. It's an endless field. I mean, there are chartered accountants who merely do outsourcing work for banks. It's not financial work at all. And they're doing extremely well. They enjoy it. So consultancy is a huge area. And I nowadays I find a lot of CAs who are into events and such kind of things. And it's very encouraging. It's very encouraging because they not only, they do well, much better than what they would do in probably service or practice, but also they're making scope for others to work. I mean, they help in generating employment, which is so important in our country today. It's very important that you do things which employs others. I mean, if you are feeding 10 mouths, you can't go hungry. I mean, the task of professional not just to feed himself and do well himself and get things himself. I mean, his happiness, his joy, his prosperity must be shared. Some responsibility to the society is there, and that can only happen if you do such kind of work. And this country needs people like this. You need entrepreneurs. You need such kind of people who generate employment. Who because with the threat of machines, again, employment is a big factor. So consultancies is one huge area which CAs, company secretaries, they're working on, and I think it's remarkable. Now, if you look at another field, though this is again service, but it's very different. You'll be wondering, a lot of students ask me this: so what is a good combination now? With CA, would I do an MBA, or do I do a CFA, or do I do something? I think, well, again, adding degrees is not going to add to future prospects unless it is an absolute sync with your career. That's number one. Number two, you have to understand that a lot of youngsters nowadays finish their CA and they try and go in for civil service. They prepare, they finish the CA and then they prepare for civil service, which could be IPS, IAS, could probably be WBCS, IFS, or IRS. I think it's a very good combination. It's an excellent combination because the more educated people, such kind of quality people go into bureaucracy, I think it's a very healthy sign for a nation. There are a lot of CAs who are IAS officers. There are quite a number of CAs who are IPS officers. In IRS and income tax, there are a lot of CAs. I think it's a tremendous advantage to these departments. Especially imagine chartered accountants in income tax department. Income tax department got graduates from many fields, which is perfectly all right because they qualify, they go into that. But a chartered accountant is intrinsically trained for finance and accounts and tax. So, he's an asset to the department. And whenever I've seen CAs working in such departments, I've always found them doing extremely well. So bureaucracy is a great field for chartered accountants. Don't forget, when you're a bureaucrat, you literally have the Ashok thumb behind you. That is power. And in this country, two things work, gentlemen. That's the fact. Either it's money or it's power. The other things don't really work. So, if you are educated and you're going to take up such fields, I think that is a great combination to go with. Rather than the typical CA, CS, ICW, I think the CA and IAS it's a much greater, much better. And again, it is again assisting in some kind of nation building, because with your expertise, with your intelligence, you adding to the bureaucracy. So it's improving the quality of bureaucracy, which is a very important component in running this country. We have to understand it's a very important component. So, engineers going into bureaucracy, or people from other highly qualified people going into bureaucracy, I think it's a very, very good sign. We need good bureaucrats, because they run the show, they run the entire administration wheel of this country. So that is one field where a non-conventional thing can go in with us. The next one, the fifth one, will make you think a little. But again, religion can be a career. I began with that, with the monk. A lot of us feel that when we talk about religion, it just belongs to a certain category. Maybe being a Hindu, people might suddenly come to think, no, whether I'll be a purohit or a monk or something. No, I don't mean that. India needs religious leaders. I mean, if you see the preachers in our country, there are limited number of preachers. I don't want to name any, but there are very limited number of preachers. This country needs hundreds of preachers, and religion needs educated people. That the Brahmins and the Purohits, who are probably not that qualified, they need to be supported with intelligent, bright, educated people who will take religion forward. I mean, religion is the backbone of humanity. You take away religion from humanity, we're a forest of roots. Religion is a career, believe me. I mean, preaching or carrying the message of spiritualism forward in different ways. I mean, we've got such tremendous spiritual speakers in the country today. I mean, from Gaur Gopal Das to Sat, they are all Sadhguru and amazing people. I mean, qualified, educated people. It's a career. It's a career. I mean, here we are learning accounting standard, and we are learning international auditing standards, and it's good. But we also need to understand human standards. What about human standards? Then that has to be lifted. I mean, we have hundreds of professionals, thousands of professionals being graduating from universities and institutions. It's fine, but I think humanity needs a push. It's very important, because the entire humanity doesn't get pushed up, then the society is just going to be more and more materialistic, which is not impacting us in a good way. Today we've got all the leisures, all the comforts which even kings and queens of ancient days didn't have. But I don't think the world is such a peaceful and a quiet place. So it's important that an element of humanity is fused in, and I think that comes from religion. I mean, there are various facets. I mean, there are so many things which person can do in religion, and it's not necessarily that because you're in religion, so you're obliviated from the usual things which a person wants. That's not the fact. I mean, you see the religious preachers abroad. I mean, these guys are jet setting, but they're doing a great job. But educated people into religion. Similarly, the next one is politics. I mean, politics was always shunned. Once upon a time, it was, all kinds of things were being said about it. It's a refuge of scoundrels and this and that. That's not the fact. I mean, once upon a time, such kind of people were there in politics. But I think as time goes by, more and more intelligent, bright, young, educated people are coming into politics. And that is a very good sign for a country. It's an extremely good sign. People are coming in from the medical field, from engineering, from accountancy, it's amazing. I mean, I can straight away remember people like, Piyush Goyal or Suresh Prabhu and multiple people who are into politics. I mean, look at United States of America. I mean, you had someone like Barack Obama running America. Barack Obama he was a Harvard Law graduate. He is a Harvard Law graduate, in fact. He's an advocate and lawyer, but what did he do? He didn't do law. He was not practicing law. He was running the country. And today he's probably a speaker and an activist and all those kind of things. Why should I be limited to doing things which I am trained to do? I can do much more. If I'm highly qualified, then I'm capable of doing much more. Why should I be restricted? So, politics is one great arena where bright young people can come in. I mean, you could very well pursue whatever you're doing and add politics to it. It's not necessary that just because you're a chartered accountant, you have to be totally into politics and you make it your career or your life and earn from there. No, I'm not talking about that. I mean, I know lawyers, my students, company secretaries, even chartered accountants who are doing their practice or their work, and they're adding politics to it in a very healthy way. That way, they are also being or trying to be a part of nation building, which is so important. I mean, we need to build this nation. It's not only about building our careers, because our careers, our hopes, our lives, our aspirations are all under the umbrella of this nation. If the umbrella of the nation is not strong, it's not good enough, then where do our aspirations go? They go nowhere. They go nowhere. There has to be somebody who has to give it a shoulder, and the somebody has to be bright, young, qualified people. They are the ones who go to give it a shoulder, because if you're bright, young, qualified, I mean, you've got powers. Knowledge is wisdom. That's power. And with increased powers comes increased responsibilities. What about the responsibilities? That has to be taken up. But anyway, for the ones who feel that politics is a little beyond them, I would now outline the area of fine arts. You'll be surprised at the number of qualified professionals, chartered accountants, company secretaries, who are artists. I mean, I've seen singers, I've seen choreographers, I've seen DJs, I've seen painters, I've seen Bharatnatyam dancers. In fact, that reminds me of this lady. I think her name is Subbalakshmi Giridhar. She's a Bharatnatyam dancer. I remember this gentleman. I think Sanjay Subramaniam. I think he's a Carnatic vocalist. Then we have some actors. We've got Shekhar Kapoor. We've got Siddhant Chaturvedi. So many. I mean, so many who are into fine arts. Just because I'm a chartered. I mean, I'm a writer. I write. I ghostwrite. It's a brilliant career. I mean, I do things which I enjoy. I mean, just because I'm a chartered accountant doesn't mean that I'm away from arts or I'm away from culture. Fine arts can be a great career. There are many CAs who are into fine arts. They are artists and they're chartered accountants. They respect their being CAs, but they also respect their individualistic talents, which is so important. It just shows you a different facet of life. I mean, I'm a writer, and nobody retires me. Even at 90, if I'm alive, I sit in one corner and write. And of course, with age, my writing becomes better and better. And why is it that I have to do a 9 to 9 to be working? I mean, someone like a writer, he writes one book, and if that book is a bestseller, he probably can retire because he gets royalty for the rest of his days. Why is it that we need to work for the next 40 years to stabilize yourself and then think about retirement for what? What if I want to end up by the time I'm 50, 55 and then enjoy the rest of my life? And what am I going to retire at 65 and then do what? What is my physical capacity and capabilities to do what? Go for a pilgrimage to Hardwar? I want to finish young and then do things which I would like to do with myself, with my family. The rich person, not necessarily the man who's got the most amount of money. The rich person is certainly the man who's got the most amount of time to spend it the way he wants to, with whom he wants to, where he wants to. So, when we follow our talents and our passion, somewhere we do work at our own terms. It gives us time, which is so important. And besides this, besides fine arts, there are other out-of-box careers. I have seen CAs who are bloggers. I have seen, company secretaries who do content writing, ghost writing. I have, CAs who are journalists. Look at S. Gurumurthy. He is one of the leading journalists of this country. He's a chartered accountant. He's a firebrand man. There are all kinds of careers which chartered accountants are involved in. So what I'm trying to say is, I mean, these are all the macros which I've given you. So many things which we can do, which a very small percentile of us are doing it because they feel there's a huge element of risk. I don't think so. I mean, when you are multitasking life, when you're multitasking things, can't you do two careers at the same time? I mean, you see the people who lead our country, the best of people. In 24 hours, they run a nation. You mean to say we qualified people, we can't run two careers in 24 hours? I mean, I'm 55 and I'm doing it. And I'm doing it with extreme ease, not that I'm pressurizing myself. I'm, my back is to the wall. It is actually, but it's a different thing. I mean, of course you are youngsters, you can probably do 3 times better than what I can do. Think about it. It's high time, you think beyond the conventional. We always keep telling, think out of the box, think out of this, think out of the box. What is thinking out of the box? You do things out of the box. It's high time. The call of the day is that, we need to go beyond what we've been taught and what we've learned and use our talents. Not only fall back on our qualifications, they are there. They're not going to run away. But your talents, you don't use them, they're over. And you don't respect your talent. All of us are talented, believe me. Every one of you guys listening to me, you're all geniuses, believe me. Every one of you is an undiscovered genius. You don't respect your talent, believe me, you disrespect God. You disrespect God. Because we've all got talents with one purpose, that they must be used, not just for ourselves, but for the betterment of this society, for our nation, for the world. That is why the talent has been given to you. If I'm a musician, my talent is to give joy in music to everyone, not just myself. And we have to understand this reality. It's high time we understand this reality and we break free of those old molds. We've been so seasoned with old things, that we cannot see beyond. Once Vivekananda was asked, then what could be worse than being blind? And he said, what could be worse than being blind is, to have eyes or not to have eyes and have no vision. We need to have a vision. It's time that we see beyond. And I'd like to end with a small story. Maybe about 100 years ago, somewhere in America, in a small school, it was the last day of school. The teacher walked into class and told the students, today, I'm not going to give you any classwork, any homework, nothing. I'm just going to give you a small exercise. Because, since you're graduating from school, you all have great hopes, dreams, desires, and you want to do so many different things. Why don't you write down what you want to be? I would love to see what you want to be. So all the boys and girls started writing. They started writing sentences, paragraphs, and a few pages. And while the teacher went around looking at everybody's copies, she found that one boy sitting quietly in one corner was not doing much. So she stood at his desk and she said, what's the matter with you? John, you finished or what? He's saying, yeah, I finished long back. She's a little surprised. She's saying, John, you finished long back. How is that? I mean, you hardly have written anything. I mean, look at all your friends. I mean, they're writing beautifully. I mean, somebody wants to be an actor, somebody wants to be a politician, somebody wants to be a pilot, somebody wants to be a businessman, and all kinds of things. And let me see your paper. What, you hardly had written anything? So she took his paper. And she was very surprised to find that in reply to what she asked, what do you want to be? That little boy had written, I want to be happy. She looked down at him. She said, John, do you understand the lesson? He looked at her and smilingly said that, ma'am, I understand the lesson, but I don't think you understand life. The boy, John Lennon, he grew up to be a star. He was a part of a group called Beatles, who made rock history. They made music history. John Lennon, I remember the names, Ringo Starr, and then you had George Harrison, and you had Paul McCartney. These 4 people, they changed the way music was done in the 60s and 70s. They were history. They were legends. And we have to understand something. We can truly be happy if we are allowed to do things which we love to do. Things which are our passion, our talent, which we follow with all our heart, do well ourselves, and bring a lot of joy and happiness to the people around us. Only that will make us happy. Compulsions will never ever make us happy. And unfortunately, a lot of us live under compulsions, feeling that is how we're supposed to live. That's not how we're supposed to live. We need to give ourselves a chance. Well, my time gives over. Vikasji gives me about an hour, and I think I've already said quite a bit. So I would like to take this opportunity to wish all of you, all the ones who are listening, the very best in your lives, in your careers. May you do well. Best wishes for the end of the year, and very good wishes for 2023. And I hope that your hopes, your aspirations, your dreams all come true. May all the miracles which you have imagined manifest into reality. And for that, you need to follow your heart. It's high time you follow your heart, your passion, and become successful. My best wishes to all of you. And because, as always, thank you, and thank Beyond Law for remembering me and asking me to share my thoughts with this bright audience. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Amar. And it's always a pleasure connecting with you and hearing from you. Two careers I thought that which have off late been given a lot of flack in the commerce side is that one is that advising on the financial side, let's assume as to how you have to invest in the mutual funds, shares, etc. There is more better financial planning. And number two, they have also, I've seen chartered accountants taken into insurance schemes as to which insurance, as to whether term insurance would be better than this thing. And third, the career which I correlate with law is that in the matters of where the properties become NPA, and then though it is a professionals for the NCLT, etc., resolution professionals, where a lot of people have actually taken a different chartered course and they're extremely doing well. And like Mr. Amar said, that you always have to go by your heart, because they say that the heart is on your left, but it always thinks right. So go, they'll say, and you will always be brightened up. And it's always a pleasure, as I said, to hear the insights from Mr. Amar Agarwala. And the facet and the positiveness of the COVID is that not only Mr. Amar Agarwala, but a lot of people we have seen that whom we have not actually connected, but on the YouTube, etc., we have learned meeting people and connecting with them. And in fact, once you meet in reality, you don't feel that you've not met him. And before we part, one of the insights which one can always do is YouTubing is also picked up of late. I've seen a lot of people taking sessions, making the unblocking of the minds, making the session simplified. You get the best of the teachers, and a lot of teachers are doing it free. And then there are YouTube courses. We have seen a lot of speakers. You can see Ankur Warikor, you can see Pranjal Kamra, you can see Phenology Legal. Those who are very, very young, good orators, good insights, a different flip where people can actually learn. And above all, you have mentors like Mr. Amar Agarwala, who tell you what I initially said, how you can make your name Amar in the profession for all times to come and beyond the life. And we only think on these sites because thinking beyond your career is also one of the inceptions which we had taken beyond law, that we could take sessions beyond law so that people could unlock their minds for the betterment of the society. So thank you, friends, and do connect with us tomorrow at 6 p.m. We have Mr. Jay Patil taking us to the election disputes, how to handle it in the cooperative law as well as on the society law. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, stay blessed. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Namaskar, Vikas ji.
Thank you.